the tide continues to turn against Joe Biden. He has not really been able to shore up the leaks on his ship, as they say. Unfortunately, it looks to be like the Democratic establishment is going to try and force Biden out somehow, some way. Like again, just a couple days ago, you got the major. Oh God, you got the nothing on screen.
YouTube comments sections may be a place to die, but this chat keeps me alive. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Kiwi Bird. Thank you very much for subscribing and for being subscribed for the last 3 months. I appreciate it. That's the wrong. This the wrong screen. There we go. Oof. Yeah, I mean, like combined with the fact that you have a block of Democratic donors that are significant players in the Dono game, saying they're not going to back any Democrats. That's a big problem and a big motivator for people down ballot. But yeah, this is kind of one of the big stories of today. 4 more senior Dems call on Biden to stand down from re-election bid. Uh, and this is the front page of Politico. Again, like we're talking libs here. We're not talking like socialist lefty folks like myself. We're talking full on libs, establishment shills, ride or die establishment folks. Let's take a look. Several more senior House Democrats called on President Joe Biden to abandon his election bid during a private call convened by Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on Sunday afternoon, according to several people participating. Among those forcefully calling for Biden to stand down during the nearly 2-hour call were Representatives Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Takano, and Joe Morell, according to 2 people familiar with the private session. Other members on the call voiced concerns with Biden's path to November, including Jim Himes, Zoe Lofgren, Dan Bayer, Rick Larson. The bad omen for the Biden campaign as the entire Democratic elected apparatus prepares to return to Washington on Monday evening, where lawmakers will face tough questioning about their party's standard bearer. Yeah. Like, it's not good. It's not good stuff.
We're joined now by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. He joins us from Burlington, Vermont. Senator Sanders, good morning. You just heard from some Democratic voters in those battleground states. You're a leading voice on the left in this country. Does President Biden now have your full support?
President Biden can clearly defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in the history of this country. And the choice is quite clear. You got in Trump somebody who wants to take away a woman's right to control her body, who thinks that climate change is a hoax, and who has turned his back on the working class of this country. And on the other side, you have Joe Biden, first president in American history to walk a picket line. We have put more money into fighting climate change than any time in the history of this country. We're rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. But this I do want to say, and where I am critical of the Biden campaign. It's one thing to talk about your record over the last 3.5 years, which is a strong record. But the American people are hurting. 60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck. 25% of elderly people are trying to get by on $15,000 a year or less. The American people want an agenda for the next 4 years that speaks to the needs of the working class of this country. And frankly, I don't think the president has brought that agenda forward. He is.
I'm not gonna lie. This is not a ringing endorsement of Biden at all. Like this reads like a question dodge. And to Bernie's credit, he's dodging the question while highlighting policy failures of the Biden administration, which is a great move. But yeah, it's what he's not saying here that's kind of, I think, speaking most to me.
Has got to say, I am prepared to take on corporate greed massive income and wealth inequality and stand with the working class of this country. He does that, he's going to win and win big.
So that's your advice for President Biden. You want him to stand with working voters, talk about labor, talk about the minimum wage and those issues. But politically, can he count on you to be on the campaign trail for him this summer and fall? Can he count on your support?
I've already done 6 events in Wisconsin. We've been to New York. I've been to Ohio. And let me say this, and maybe the most important point, Bob, I want to make this morning. What we are talking about now is not a Grammy Award contest for Best Singer. Biden is old. He's not as articulate as he once was. I wish he could jump up the steps on Air Force One. He can't. What we have got to focus on is policy. Whose policies have and will benefit the vast majority of the people in this country? Who has the guts to take on corporate America? Who is talking about expanding Medicare so we cover dental, hearing, and vision? Who's talking about raising the cap on the taxes that people pay into Social Security so we can raise Social Security benefits and extend the life of Social Security for 75 years? Who's talking about a permanent child tax credit to cut childhood poverty in America by 50%? Those are the issues he's talked about. He's got to bring them up in the fore. He's got to promise the American people that if they give him a Democratic Senate, a Democratic House, re-elect him, he's going to do that in the first 100 days. That is what I think the American people want.
No doubt, Senator, this campaign about the issues, about how policy affects people, it's also about how people see the stakes. Let's listen to what President Biden had to say on Friday about what happens if former President Trump wins the election.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass,
oh God,
how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
Can I just say, like, this line more than anything else he said in that interview has stuck in my brain over the last few days. It hurts, man. Like, I could have, like, my rights as an American citizen stripped away because I'm trans. And, like, well, at least Biden gave it his best shot. Come on.
You just heard that, Senator Sanders. How would you feel if former President Trump wins in November?
Well,
I will say, this and the only God can tell him to back out. I actually think that saying only God can tell him to back out is a great move because it literally gives him a get out of jail free card to back out. Like, oh, God has tugged my heart to pull out of this race. Like, boom, done.
I would feel awful as somebody who was opposed virtually all of Trump's policies. And I would feel awful if the American people lost the democracy, which we've had for 250 years. And I would feel awful if we turned our back on the existential threat of climate change. But this is not about how I...
Look, Bernie answered the question correctly, everybody. Snaps for Bernie.
It's not about you feel. It is not even about how Joe Biden feels. It's about how we win this election. And maybe what we should be doing is creating a Democratic Party with Biden at the top that stands with the working class of this country. I will tell you this, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, the American people are disillusioned. They are angry. They think that government is busy paying attention to the rich and wealthy campaign donors. And by the way, I find it personally insulting.
Bernie was an independent for his entire political career, and then he ran in the Democratic Party in 2016. And I think he works with the Democratic Party very closely. And I think he's... I don't remember if he re-switched back to being independent. I don't remember if he did that or not.
That the New York Times and all these media organizations go out front page and this is what the billionaire campaign donors feel. Well, to hell with the billionaire campaign donors. Let's worry about the working class of this country and what their needs are. And let hopefully
is he President Biden talking to you?
That speaks to their needs. He will win.
Bernie caucuses in the Democratic Party.
Is the president talking to you? You're traveling the country talking to working voters. I've seen all the video of you meeting with union members. Has he spoken to you in recent days? And is the White House listening to your advice at all, the campaign?
Yes, he has spoken to me in recent days, and I hope to be meeting on a regular basis with the White House to hammer out an agenda that speaks to the needs of the vast majority of the people who believe.
I would also put out there that Bernie Sanders is uniquely positioned in a way where, like, he wants Joe Biden to be in office of all the current candidates out there, because he has built up a position in the Biden White House that allows him to wield an outsized amount of influence for his position, which is great for us. I would love Bernie Sanders to have more influence over American politics, but it is also a factor in his support for Biden here. I need to take this phone call. I'll be right back. It just, again, we're seeing stories like this on Politico, like 4 more senior Dems calling Biden to stand down from re-election bid. We also got over here, we got Chuck Schumer. This is not Chuck Schumer, this is Taylor Swift. But we got Chuck Schumer over here, or Adam Schiff, sorry. Says Biden has to win overwhelmingly or pass the torch, while pumping up Kamala Harris. Like these are big moves, guys. It's big. I think Biden should take the time to I think Biden should take the time to talk to people outside of his immediate circle, talk to people he respects, people with objectivity, people with distance, and make the right decision for the country. I think that he might step out. This is an awful lot of very obvious political pressure from people who actually hold levers of power,